Hey guys, Colin here. And this week I have a cassette tape to show you, and that is Chris Cornell's first solo release, Euphoria Morning. Now, this was recorded between 1998 and 1999 and released in 1999. Um, the original title of this, it's spelled morning, as in, the sun comes up in the morning, but he originally wanted this spelled with the words Mourn, as in mourning. You're mourning over somebody's death or somebody leaving you, or just something, sad happening, I guess. Um, Now, this was re released on a vinyl and CD in 2015, and they used the original title that he wanted, which was the mourning title. You're mourning for somebody or something. Um, and this, I really like his solo efforts. This came out between his bands Soundgarden and Audio Slave. It came out between those two bands when he was on his own time there. And that's the cassette tape of that. I'm gonna show another Chris Cornell. This was his last studio album and last solo record, and this came out in 2015, I believe, the same year as they re-released Euphoria. And this was his last record before he passed away. Now, an interesting story on this is that I ordered this on Amazon, I believe, or somewhere like that, and uh, we went and picked it up at the post office when it came. Um, we were in a rush when we were leaving, and we got in the car and took off after I picked up my album in the mail. And once we got pretty much home, I looked around. I said, "Where's my record?" Couldn't find it anywhere, and I remembered I left it on top of the roof of the car at the post office, and I said, "Did I leave? I must have forgot to grab it off the roof," and it flew off somewhere back at the post office, and I thought it was gone because the post office is right in the middle of our downtown, and it's always crowded with college students and everybody. And I figured, well, somebody must have grabbed it or it got ran over by a car, and I didn't want to go back and try to look for it. So I ordered another one. And I ordered another one, and I said, well, I'm going to make sure I get this one back safely this time. And after I had already had the new one coming, I reordered it. I got a a phone call. We got a phone call from the post office saying that somebody had turned in my package after I already and I figured I was gonna go get it and it'd be all ran over, tore up or something, but it was still in perfect shape, and that's this one right here, the one I ordered, the first one I ordered. But anyway, I ended up with two copies, so I still have a sealed copy of the Chris Cornell Higher Truth right here, and I just keep it my stuff. I just kind of keep it around because of the story that I kind of had with it. Um, but I highly recommend the Higher Truth record. I think that's one of my favorite releases of his ever, besides all his various bands, Audio Slave and Soundgarden. I really like his solo music the best because he kind of it allows him to be himself more. I think his feelings and that type of thing, and we all know um, he had some really emotional lyrics, and I think he came across as himself in those. And it's really too bad that we lost him in the last couple of years here to, I believe, uh, they think it was suicide due to some medications that he was taking. And I really wish that a lot of these rock stars, movie stars, and whatever would quit relying so much on drugs to take care of their depression, that sort of thing. The one in particular that I just forget which one it is. It's one of the anxiety medications or something that a lot of these stars, and I noticed there a lot of them are committing suicide and that sort of thing from this. And I noticed that in their prescription things, they always have it all over the news that that one medicine is included in there, and I think it's a bad one, and they should just stop taking that. Anyway, I'll get off of my rant about that stuff. Some trivia that year was, I'm going with 1998 trivia. Um, the song Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls was one of the big songs that year. The big movies in the theaters were Saving Private Ryan, Armageddon, and There's Something About Mary. Now, all three of those are some of my favorite movies I like watching. I can always, There's Something About Mary is a really funny comedy. Saving Private Ryan, World War II with that real epic beginning of the assault on D-Day, I believe. Is it Omaha Beach? If I'm wrong, sorry. And Armageddon about, the whole world's going to blow up and they send these guys out into space to drill a hole in the meteorite or whatever it is and blow it up. It's kind of sad too. And a board game that came out that year was a board game called Titanic, the board game about the ship that went down. And it just so happens that I have that game right here. Titanic, the board game. Says the year is 1912. You're on the most luxurious ocean liner in history, but are you ready for what's next? And we all know what happens next in that. And this is kind of a game about trying to keep yourself from going down with the ship before you're trying to beat the other player or players into the lifeboats, basically. Before everybody goes down. It's kind of a morbid theme, but that's what happened on the Titanic, and they made a board game out of it. And here's the board itself. It's not actually a very wide board game, but it's very long. Very long ship there, and you're trying to get into these lifeboats. Right here is the basic gist of the game, and you're starting way back here and you're trying to work yourself way up here to these lifeboats and get yourself off. Now, we found the game. I think it's fun. It's very basic. It's a roll and move game with dice, and you look at these various cards that tell you where to go, and you land on different spots that tell you to go here and there, and you're trying to pick up various items like your passport, the key to your room, your luggage and things out of your room, your jewelry, and you have to do all this stuff in each section of the ship before you can actually leave and collect. And also you have to collect some money along the way to pay people off, and you get these busboys tokens. And if you need to use your busboys, go get your baggage and things, and go get your baggage and bring it to you, and you can toss them overboard or wherever they're, pretty much overboard. They're going down because they're not trying to get off the ship. They're trying to help you get to your boats. Now, the only problem we had with it is that it took us 3.5 hours to play this game. Because there's some squares on the board. If you land on them, you have to go all the way back to where you began in the first place. And we went through that about 4 or 5 times, and I think that's why it took so long. So we're kind of going to come up with these house rules in our next game to where if you land on that spot, you only have to go back once, not 4 or 5 times, because we kept having bad luck in landing on these spots. But anyway, that's Titanic, the board game. I do recommend it, but if you happen to get this anywhere, do what I said and don't keep going. It sends you clear back to the beginning of the game several times. I wouldn't do that. I would just go with maybe once or you wouldn't even have to do it once. You could just both see who can get to the first to the ship, off the ship first, without doing, just ignore those spots. I think that's kind of a flaw in that game there. But then it did take several hours for the Titanic to go down, and maybe they were trying to bring you that feeling. And that's all I'll say right now. Calling over now. Weirdos Unite. Uh, Enjoy your weekend, and I may or may not be back before the weekend's over. We'll see.